They were told the payout would be measured in trillions, not thousands, not millions. Trillions of dollars split among ordinary people who had wired in a few $100 at a time, retirees on fixed incomes, truck drivers, church friends, people who had never bought a stock in their lives, all of them waiting on one thing: a secret group of immensely wealthy buyers, supposedly days away from purchasing a blockchain company almost nobody had ever heard of. Every week, the deal was about to close. Every week, it did not. For 4 years, more than 10,000 people held the line. They kept sending money. They defended the deal online. They told their families to be patient. Over $45 million went in. Not $1 of profit ever came back out. On July 9, 2026, in a federal courtroom in Nebraska, the man behind it learned what 4 years of almost was worth. This is the story of CoinDeal. To understand how 10,000 people ended up waiting on a payout that did not exist, start with Suresh Chandran. Chandran is a Canadian and British national who lived in Nevada and California. Not a household name, not a Wall Street figure. What he had, according to federal prosecutors, was a cluster of companies and a story that fit the moment perfectly. They operated under a single banner called ViRSE: Free Vi Lab, Studio VI, Vi Delivery, Vi Market, ScaleX USA, and others. On paper, they were building virtual world technology, a metaverse, their own cryptocurrency. Look at the timing. This was 2018 through 2022, the exact window when the financial world was convinced blockchain and virtual real estate were about to swallow the economy. So, when a man said he had 5 startups building the infrastructure of the metaverse, nobody in the target audience had the vocabulary to check. And they did not need to, because the pitch was never really about the technology. It was about who was supposedly waiting to buy it. Here is the engine of the whole scheme. According to court documents, Chandran falsely claimed his companies were about to be purchased by a consortium of billionaires at extraordinary valuations. Not a normal acquisition, not a venture round. A group of prominent, immensely wealthy buyers, quietly circling, who would pay a number so large it broke people's ability to think clearly. The Securities and Exchange Commission put it plainly. Investors were told the blockchain technology called CoinDeal would be sold for trillions of dollars. Trillions. The largest company on Earth has never come close to that number, but the absurdity was a feature, not a bug. When the promised payout is big enough, the brain stops doing arithmetic on whether it is real and starts doing arithmetic on your cut. And Chandran did not have to sell this himself. The investment was marketed under the name CoinDeal by a Florida man named Michael Glaspie, who went by Mike G. Glaspie was 72, warm, familiar, and trusted inside his network. Prosecutors said he told investors that if the CoinDeal returns somehow failed to materialize, he would personally repay them with 7% annual interest over 3 years, backed by an exclusive contract with a major telecom company and an app that would generate more than $400 million. None of that safety net was what he claimed, but it was the thing that let people say yes. So 10,000 people were waiting on a $1 trillion buyout with a personal guarantee behind it. Here is the part none of them knew. While they waited, the money they had already sent was not sitting in escrow. It was not waiting for the deal to close. It was not sitting anywhere. It had already been spent. The FBI put it in a single sentence that should be read out loud in every investment seminar in America. The assistant director in charge of the FBI Washington field office said that Chandran and his co-defendant treated investor funds as their own personal piggy bank, using the money to purchase multiple houses and dozens of luxury vehicles. Read that again. Not a car. Dozens of luxury vehicles. This is where the second name matters. Bryan Lee, 60, of Las Vegas, was the nominee owner and sole officer of Vi Market, one of the Chandran companies. A nominee owner is exactly what it sounds like. His name was on the paperwork. The control was somewhere else, Millions in investor funds flowed into VI market accounts, and prosecutors said Lee took direction from Chandran on how to disburse them. The Justice Department was blunt about what Lee knew. He knew the funds came from individual investors. He knew the representations made to them were false. He moved the money anyway. At the marketing layer, the pattern repeated. Glaspie used roughly $2.5 million of investor money to pay employees, trade cryptocurrency, and buy a life insurance policy for a family member, all after promising he would not. And notice what is missing here. Nowhere is there a product generating revenue. There is no consortium. There is no buyer. There is a river of money from 10,000 households, and there is real estate, and there are cars. Every long-running fraud needs a reason the payday has not arrived yet, and this one had the best reason in the world. Billionaires are private. Deals this size are confidential. Lawyers are finalizing documents. The closing slipped a week, then another week. The stall is the product. As long as the deal is always about to close, the victim's job is to wait quietly and not make noise that could spook the buyers. Secrecy became the excuse for the absence of every single thing an investor should demand. No audited financials, because the deal is confidential. No named buyers, because they insist on discretion. No registered offering, because this is not that kind of opportunity. Then the social pressure did the rest. Groups formed. The people who had been in longest reassured the newcomers. Anyone who asked a hard question became the problem, the pessimist about to ruin it for everybody. That is, affinity pressure doing what regulation cannot. It converts doubt into disloyalty. The money kept coming between 2018 and 2022, and prosecutors ultimately tallied more than $45 million from over 10,000 investors. Then, the outside world arrived. Chandran was arrested in June of 2022. The SEC filed its civil case in January of 2023. Glaspie pleaded guilty to wire fraud that February and was sentenced later that year to 6 years in federal prison. Bryan Lee was indicted in May of 2023. But the most unsettling detail in this entire case is not that the deal never closed. It is what happened after federal agents started calling victims to tell them the truth. Some of them did not believe it. That is the pattern investigators hit again and again with schemes built on a coming payday. People who have waited 4 years, who have recruited their own family members, who have publicly staked their judgment on a deal, do not experience the FBI as a rescue. They experience it as interference. Some victims concluded the government was the thing standing between them and their money. That is how deep a story goes once someone has paid for it with their savings and their reputation. The legal reckoning still came. In April of 2026, Neil Chandran pleaded guilty to mail fraud. Bryan Lee pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit mail fraud and wire fraud. And on July 9, 2026, a federal judge handed down the sentences. Chandran received 136 months in prison. That is 11 years and 4 months, plus 3 years of supervised release. Lee received 36 months. The Assistant Attorney General for the Justice Department's Criminal Division said the two men deceived thousands of investors, exploited their trust, and stole their money. The civil side had already been grinding forward. In June of 2024, the SEC obtained default judgments against 2 promoters, Gary Davidson of Nevada and Linda Knott of Oklahoma. Davidson alone was ordered to pay nearly $4 million in disgorgement plus a matching $4 million penalty. But judgments are not recovery. The houses were bought, the cars were bought, and 10,000 people are still owed. Strip away the metaverse language and the crypto branding, and CoinDeal is a very old machine in new clothes. It ran on 4 moving parts, and everyone is something you can spot from outside. 1. A payout with no ceiling. Real investments quote returns as percentages. Frauds quote them as life-changing events. The moment the promised number stops feeling like math, that is the signal, not the reward. 2. Buyers who cannot be named. Confidentiality is real in genuine deals, but in a genuine deal, your money is not sitting in someone else's account while you wait. If the reason you cannot verify anything is that verifying would spoil the deal, then the deal is the story. 3. A deadline that always moves. Write down every promised closing date. A legitimate transaction slips once or twice. A fraud slips forever because the slipping is the business model. 4. The pitch arrives through someone you trust rather than someone who is licensed. The person recruiting you is usually a victim too, one layer up. Here is the practical version. Before any money moves, look the person and the firm up on BrokerCheck and on the SEC's Edgar database, and search the name plus the word complaint. It takes about 4 minutes. 10,000 people never spent those 4 minutes, and it cost them $45 million. The thing that stays with me about CoinDeal is not the money, it is the waiting. 4 years of people checking their phones for an update that was never coming, defending a man they had never met, telling anyone who doubted it that they just did not understand the deal. So here is my question for you. If someone you actually trusted, a friend, a relative, someone from your church, told you today that a private group of billionaires was about to buy a company for trillions and you could get in for a few $100s, what is the one question you would ask them first? Put it in the comments, because somebody reading that thread is going to get this exact call this year. And the right question is the whole defense. If you want more breakdowns of how these schemes work from the inside, subscribe. New one every week, and we are never going to run out.